सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. I am Professor Dr. Soma Basu. The title of my paper is Scientific Thoughts, Scientific Application of Vedic Knowledge in Today's World. Vedic corpus, which is essentially spiritual by nature, very naturally precludes the idea of science in a positive sense, because not all of the mantras talk about science entirely. A part may contain science. Again, doubts concerning the meaning of specific words and phrases are very much present, simply because of the fact that the nature of the corpus of Vedic literature being so archaic. We know about words which Hayana, the great commentator, would not even interpret the words, some of the words, and left them as they were in his commentary. If an arduous scientific investigation can be made of the particular stanzas of the Rig Veda, then the presence of elements of physical science in Vedic literature can be brought to light, at least with certain extent of conviction, when applied in today's world, which may bring about a sea change in explaining modern scientific concepts. Existence of scientific concepts in Vedic literature is very much there. The Rig Veda, which turns out to be the very first of all Indian written material, that is the most ancient of the whole corpus, is almost religious by nature, and therefore provides for the most part mythological stories illustrating different feats of various deities of the Vedic pantheon. And so we have to be extra careful about the fact that the stanzas cannot be in themselves viewed as representing scientific elements transparently or in very clear scientific wordings. This theme, that is my theme, is not very well known nor discussed in current literature. So rudimentary concept of physics, chemistry, architecture, Basu Vidya or Sthapatya, engineering, the profession of the physician, bhishaj, etc., practice of medicine, the wonderful knowledge of anatomy can be discussed in the light of concepts related to common occurrence with the aid of prayers and praises in the Rig Veda. Agni, which abides in water in the form of hydrogen, Rig Veda Mandala 1, Sukta 23, Mantra number 20, is nothing but energy, which is one of the components of water, which is invoked to approach and fill man with vigor. Now, talking about Agni, they described, the Vedic seers described Agni as the remover of diseases. In Rig Veda 1:12:7, in 7:8:6, they have used the word as amoeba chatanam. And we have seen that the characteristic of heat or Agni as the remover of disease was also known to the Vedic seers. The word amoeba chatanam or roganang nivarakam and amoebanang roganam ghatakam means disease removing or as who drives away sickness. This kind of use by the seers in the stanzas of the Rig Veda is indicative of their knowledge of Agni or heat as having healing power, a kind of physiotherapy of modern medical treatment. Physical science speaks of the truth of nature, or more precisely of the laws and properties of nature. So a proper scientific investigation of Adhi Bhautika part of the stanzas of Vedic literature or Vedic deities can enlighten us about the presence of the concept of elements of physical science in the Samhitas of the Rig Veda. The divine is conceived by man through its revelation in nature. Vedic deities are but a deification of the natural forces or phenomena done by the poetic imagination of Vedic seers. Therefore, various deities, when stripped of their divine attributes practically superimposed on them, can be identified as standing for the different aspects of nature. We have come across a huge number of physical science related Vedic words or phrases in the Adhibhautika part of the stanzas dedicated to Agni of the Rig Veda, like Sahasa's Putra or Balasya Putra, etc., which means the son of strength, where it may be noted that the relation between work or force and heat or light is established by Jules much later, that is only in the 18th century. Again, the expression Vishwa Bharasam, that means all sustainer, found in Rigveda 4.1.19, may be explained from the angle of science. How? Now, thermal energy is a must for sustaining the universe, which is the deduction from kinetic theory of matter, which confirms the findings of Vedic seers. For describing the characteristic features of Agni in the Rig Veda, the terms like Sapta Rashmi or Sapta Jalam, that is having 7 rays, may be interpreted from the angle of science as the presence of 7 different colors, that is Vibgyor, in visible white ray, which is demonstrated by Newton as late as in the 17th century, was very much there in the imagination of Vedic seers. Next, the fact that air excites fire was known to Vedic seers much before the age of modern science. From modern day scientific knowledge, we know that air helps combustion where oxygen is a constituent. The fact came to be known only after the discovery of oxygen in a much later age. Without air, that is oxygen, nothing can burn, and the flame will be brighter in contact with oxygen. From the references shown above, we may assume that the knowledge of the effect of air, that is oxygen, on burning was noticed by the Vedic seers long before the discovery of oxygen and its effect on air by Cavendish. On analyzing these above-mentioned findings, we cannot but be dumbfounded by the brilliance of the Vedic seers' wisdom in selecting Agni to act as messenger among all deities for sending their message of invitation to other gods in heaven, mid-earth, and earth. In the Rig Veda itself, we find the concept of carrying sacrificial oblations to the gods in 3 regions. So Agni is the messenger of man to reach the oblations to the gods, and who else than the fire is the most suitable, who has been stated as speedier than the mind in the Rig Veda itself. Now the question is, why this selection of Agni as messenger or oblation bearer, while other gods endowed with great physical attributes like the ever-moving Maruts, Shatata Gamana Shila, and the most powerful Indra were left out to do the same. The modern science has shown that nothing can travel faster than light. When the velocity of sound is 3.5 into 10 to the power 4 per second, light travels with a velocity of 2.99 into 10 to the power 10 cm per second. Light takes about 8.25 seconds to travel from the sun to the earth. Moreover, thunder or sound needs a medium for propagation, but light does not. It can travel to any region, celestial or on the earth, most rapidly and without any medium. In 1690, a Dutch physicist, Huygens, presented a theory and proved that light travels in the form of waves in all directions. As the propagation of light occurs also in vacuum, Huygens postulated vehicle for these waves, an omnipresent, all-pervading, universal and continuous medium called luminiferous ether. So the selection of Agni, that is light, as accepted messenger of the gods and bearer of oblation by various seers in the Rig Veda, confirms the presence of pragmatic realization of a scientific truth in the seer's imagination and observation that Agni is the fastest moving element and it travels in all directions. It is all pervading, which is imagined and proved by the physicists at a much later age. To conclude, we may say that Vedic literature may not contain everything, but what it contains is no doubt stupendous and a rich storehouse of not only our past, but also of human knowledge system. A celebrated scientist like the stature of no other than Dr. Meghnad Saha did acknowledge the importance of the Vedas and the other ancient texts when he dealt with the problems of calendars in depth, despite pointing out their limitations too. By further researching into the different phases of scientific history and development, it is possible to shed considerable light on the causes and motivations behind the ancient scientific traditions. There is little doubt that the ancient Indians had a high realization of natural phenomena. The manner in which these natural phenomena, with all their scientific elements, shook the minds of the ancient seers points to the earliest stage of scientific thought. Should it be called as pre-scientific stage of man's intellectual realization? So this kind of attempt towards explaining existence of scientific concepts in Vedic literature is of great value that cannot be denied by large. So this is all for my paper, and thank you very much.